At first, I want to say thank you to Professor Tom and our team, the team today. Yes, I am going to discover about the behaviors of investor in equity crowdfunding. And I want to discover about the criteria to evaluate a potential ventures. So for these questions, I'm intend to implement the semi-structured interview with the professional investor and professional investor to understand which criteria they use to evaluate the ventures. And other things, I also want to discover about the determinants of investor choice. So for these questions, I want to you the experiment to do with this. I want to ask the student in the university about the weight. At first I delivered for them the two campaigns, and then I asked them to evaluate these campaigns with the information provided, and then they make decision, and based on that I can evaluate what is the determinants of their choice. I remember that you remind us of not using the same source for answering the two questions. So in this case, do you think it's relevant and possible to do both semi-structured interview with the first and then later into the experiment, or I can compile to ask the non-professional, the investor in the semi-structured interview?
So yeah, a few things there, HT. So it would be good to have, what you really want is a theory about what, what criteria people look at to invest in these crowdfunding pages, right? So for new ventures. So it'd be good to have a theory, and that would lead you to a research question, right? Now, in the absence of a theory, you might do a qualitative study, right, where you try to derive theory by talking to investors, and what do they, what criteria do they consider? Yeah, and so you might get from that, from the qualitative, you might get deduce some theory, and then you go to the survey to test that theory, right? So that is a better approach. You could, as you suggest, you might, in the absence of theory, you might do an experiment with the students at your university where, they invest because of, under one condition, they invest because of, you change the condition, they invest because of. We'll talk about experiments next time, right? But probably the qualitative study would be best to try to do theory building to, get a theory about what criteria people use in terms of this these crowdsourcing things. So having a strong theory is what the editors will be looking for, right? Rather than just going out and having a survey saying, all these criteria which to use. So remember, they do want to see a research question, which means a hypothesis, which comes from a theory.